Welcome back, everybody. We have got ourselves a tied series at 1-1 between Machi and Boom in this playoff elimination match, and we'll see who is going to take it up one more and get to that match point. But before we get into the pregame discussion, I would like to take a moment to thank our wonderful sponsors, CTBC Bank, China Airlines, Chunghwa Telecom, and of course, Caliber. Thank you for making the PCS possible. Now, Nightstar, we've seen really kind of night and day performances, I think, from both these teams. It kind of makes me feel a little bit like yesterday when we saw a very good performance by Hong Kong Attitude and then a turnaround from J-Team. Now, that one ended hugely in J-Team's favor, but this time around, I feel like Boom might have a little more in the tank, and I really like what we saw, especially Ruby on that Vladimir. Think it's getting banned this time?
I don't necessarily think it's warrant a ban necessarily, because I think if you just end up avoiding the LeBlanc pick, or if you end up saving the LeBlanc pick later on in the draft, it probably won't come out. I think the bigger deal is now that Machi are back on the blue side, how do bans change from the Boom side of things? As now it's on them to go ahead, ban away the Renekton, ban away the Viego here. And for the side of Machi, you could just pick the Ziggs yourself, guys.
It's true. It's very possible. They've been sticking to the Aphelios guns, quite literally, I think. And yeah. I don't know how well it... You know, you usually pair it up with the Thresh, but the Thresh has been banned consistently. I wonder if Atlan will try for something a little bit different. The Ziggs, clearly both teams have seen fit to leave it up and available. But at the same time, you know, we've seen some different prio from a couple of other playoff matches. The second game in a row, Gwen's been let through, not played. That could change. I mean, Rocky was a pretty big Gwen player in the midst of the season. I'm curious to see how that ends up working out in this next pick and ban phase. But for Likai, yeah, unfortunately, you know, he adds one loss to the Camille column. Not that many of them, but clearly if he's not able to get into that late game scenario where he can get into the side lanes and be happy with it, doesn't quite work out. So we enter the picks and bans. It's actually LeBlanc banned by Machi. Everything else looks the same.
Yeah, the ban set up for Machi in game number one. They went Thresh, LeBlanc, and Victor on blue side. We'll see if it remains similar this time around. I don't think they'll ban away the Vladimir, as it really does seem like a LeBlanc counter rather than a pick that Ruby is just willing to bring up into any scenario. Has a lot of issues going into control mages, as they do have a lot more terrain control over the Vladimir, and it will be Ziggs banned away by Machi. So they've identified one of the big issues, which was indeed that Ziggs pick, and now the Aphelios gives a little bit more value. I would still put the Ezreal over the Aphelios, as Ezreal just gets more value in team fights, and Aphelios, well, it becomes a lot dicier to deal with. But Viego allowed through.
Left up again. That's the second time Boom leave it on blue, or Boom leave it open while they're on red. I don't know about this one. Gemini definitely started to pop off in game one.
Yeah. Leaving that available is going to be a bit problematic to deal with. A Boom, though, they'll actually go ahead and deny away the Aphelios. So Atlan most likely put on Ashe, Jhin, or Ezreal duty here. And it will be the Rise locked in. So denying that pick away from G-Mien. Also having a little bit more mobility and trying to move around the map, or just trying to move around in fights, having that phase rush. Machi, they'll go ahead, hover their AD carry. It should, again, Ezreal, Ashe, Jhin. That should be the lock-in, and it will be the Ashe out of those. So playing more towards a pick style with that Ashe arrow.
And this would pair nicely, throwing the Syndra in. I mean, this is definitely the makings of a pick comp. Priority target, probably going to be Wako for now. We'll see what the rest of the Boom comp is.
Still relatively vulnerable to something like a Trundle pick if they want to go for that here, as it's still two immobile champions. In the Ashe, Syndra does have a lot more range than the Syndra Jinx, in my opinion, because you don't have to commit to auto attacks with the Ashe, and it will be Braum locked in for Boom. Very defensive bottom lane, but at least they are able to get some sort of defensive support for the Aphelios rather than having to ban away in second phase.
Here you go, Nightstar. Boom Esports, they're banning the Camille. Not going to let Lee Kai get his hands on his signature champion.
Yeah, and I would guess that they go for something like a Camille and a set ban here, just to take away those big flanking champions, as that's been kind of a nightmare for Boom to deal with. Rakan also not a bad ban here, as Rakan does get free scaling into a Braum.
So certainly looking to try and keep Koala off of some of the more comfortable picks for himself. I think when he's been denied stuff like this, he usually goes into something more like the Alistar. The Leona, of course, is still up and available, and that is an Aurelia ban thrown out, presumably against Rocky. Interesting, okay. They can still counterpick here for Boom.
Could signify that they want to play something like a Jace or a Gnar. Jace left available.
Flashing that Urgot.
Hovered.
Rocky playing with our hearts here. That's going to be the Trundle pickup. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
That's the Trundle in the jungle for Hollow. Okay, I mean, this is, you still get the chance to play the Trundle, and there's not a lot of tanks to bust on the side of Machi just yet, but I suppose there's time if the set does get locked in.
The Bard pickup would be interesting. It's not a bad option, given the fact that on the side of Boom, they also have pretty mobile backline in the Rise. Aphelios, yes, you've got a little bit more move speed on the Rise, be able to navigate the fights, but it's still pretty death ball-y comps.
Ooh, speaking of death ball, I'm curious if they go for the cannon.
Does have a lot of lane pressure, and if he's able to get these flanks, he loves to pull off these flank angles. Kennen is a champion that can really take advantage of the extra free space given, but again, you have to navigate around a Braum and a Trundle. While this is very good in lane, I can't see it working out when it comes to these team fights. And if Boom locked this in, this is a once again, very robust team composition, and it's going
very beefy.
For the side of Machi, it's really ride or die with this Bard pickup.
Yeah, I think they're going to put a lot on Koala here to try and set them up for success and try to pull off some of the flank plays and catch plays that they were able to do in game number 1. But Boom, man, they built themselves a beefy composition. Look at that. The Braum, the Ornn, the Trundle, the Rise is certainly going to be able to tank a decent bit of damage. What do you do against a pick comp? You make it hard to get picked. I think Wako is going to be the only one they can really find easily. But we'll have to find out. I mean, Machi do have some power pickups. I wonder with that Viego, if Gemini is going to be able to start snowballing early. The calculus changes a little bit here, Nightstar, but Machi's certainly giving themselves more narrow win conditions once again.
And this is the concern we have with Machi. While they are better players in this Machi Boom matchup, the amount of tricks that they show in draft are very limited. They don't have a whole lot of strategies besides the one that they show time and time again. And for the side of Boom, they do have a lot more champion diversity. They are willing to play more styles. It's just sometimes their execution on those styles can be lackluster, and that's kind of just what we're going to see here in this series. As Machi, they once again go to their one style, and for Boom, they've really fully transitioned into a more team fight focused strategy, which I think will come out on top in this game.
Yeah, it may serve them well yet. And it's interesting you talk about the champion diversity. I mean, this is a team that they themselves, kind of showcase a lot of variety as well. We talk about how there's communication happening in multiple languages because the team comes from so many different places. Rocky coming in from Thailand. They have a couple of Korean players in Ruby and Pop, as well as their Taiwanese and Hong Kong players. So it's certainly a team that's kind of been assembled from many of the corners of the SEA region. And Well, we'll see if it's going to be enough to take down Machi in this game.
Yeah, the big benefit here coming into game number 3 is the fact that Machi do have stronger lanes. This time around, they have the Ashe Bard, which should have a pretty sizable advantage over Aphelios Braum, unless if Braum's able to find the all-in. In this mid lane, the Syndra matches relatively well against this Ryze pick as far as lane shove goes, as we get to see the runes pulled up. No Gathering Storms this time around. And up in his top side, you definitely have to favor the Kennen having the range advantage, and also just the extra damage boost coming out from his shurikens is going to allow him to get priority more often than not against this Ornn. But the Ornn is going to be able to outscale in just the long range, engage, disengage potential coming in from this champion. It's just going to throw Machi into such fits when it comes to trying to find a team fight. And it's going to come down to them being able to get really fancy with their flank angles on this Kennen.
Yeah, Rocky's certainly been no stranger to playing a weak side in this matchup. He knows that Lee Kai certainly can get the jump on him. As we get our game underway here, no major shenanigans. It hasn't been... Neither of these teams really opt in for the crazy, cheese brush plays, but that doesn't mean they won't take a level 1. Because you can already see Koala and Atlan really taking it to Wako and Pop. And in the mid lane, we also saw a little bit of trading back and forth there between Ruby and Jimmy. And certainly both squads looking to scrap.
Ooh, nice stun. Yeah, a landing onto Wako. And for the side of Boom, Hollow on this Trundle pick will be the player to watch, because there's a really nice follow-up. But Koala walking up level 2.
Oh my goodness, they're just finding so much damage onto Wako right now. It's huge as Pop has to body block. I love this for the Machi bottom side.
Yeah, and once again, this lane just should be able to just handle this Braum lane. No problem at all. Aphelios just doesn't have an answer to the Ashe Bard. He can't do the job of 2 champions. There's just such a massive range advantage here in that bottom lane.
Feels like Aphelios is a bit of a bait sometimes for teams. They pick him and then they need something that can protect him. And Gemini coming in for a bit of an early dive. Level 3, he would certainly be happy to get some resets off. They do, and the lane's not quite pushed enough here, but Gemini feeling very confident in his ability. Teleport, they're actually going to commit to this one as he looks to cut them off. Flash forward, double stun, brilliant play into the exhaust, and that is going to be the first blood picked up by Jimmy. And now Pop, he's going to be off on his lonesome, and Gemini getting the reset, getting the double kill. Excuse me, I thought it was Jimmy, but it turns out it was Gemini after all. I always get debated a little bit by that. Let's take a look at the replay, because it was a slow dive, but they executed it well.
B-Man comes in with the teleport, sets everything up. He gets himself a double kill as well as...
Oh, he does get the double. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I should have not guessed myself the second time.
They don't even need to kill Pop, but he's also just free food right after they finish the kill onto the first one, because it is 4 against 1. And it's just... Aphelios is a bait, guys. Don't pick him early.
Especially with Thresh Ban.
He's still a very good champion, but he needs a lot from the other team in order to operate. And while this is still definitely not the end of the game for the Aphelios, this lane phase is going to be extremely difficult, and Hollow really needs to find his way bot lane to try and swing things back.
Yeah, if you had told me at the start of the series that we'd see a game where Gemini visits bot faster than Hollow does, I would have said you're lying, but apparently not the case, as Gemini gets the good dive set up, and Jimmy in with the teleport picking himself up the double kill. Should have a much happier time in lane after the fact now, and we will take a look in at that lane. He is down in CS for the moment, but that's just because Ruby didn't really match his pressure. Had teleport burned, I think, to get back into lane.
Yep. Teleport back into the lane, but Genian with the extra 2 kills is going to be more than comfortable here, and Up in this top side, well, Rocky, he's perfectly fine too. Actually, the charge used by Lee Kai exposes him here.
Yeah, Bella's Breath on. That's actually a really nice trade for Rocky. And, you know, Rocky has been very impressive in the lane performance today up against the likes of Lee Kai.
Yeah, and at level 6, he does have a kill opportunity, given the fact he does have Unsealed Spellbook. And now Hollow, as expected, trying to force some sort of play into the bot side, and given the fact that Bard has gone for his level 4 roam, trying to pick up some chimes, try and find some of these extra EXP, he could fall into a trap.
Yeah, chime time. Gotta be a little bit careful. Ooh, nice sniff out there.
Very
okay,
good.
Man, Atlan and Koala have been on point this game.
Now they can just go back to bullying this bottom lane. Now that Hollow has been revealed here, does have one level advantage over Gemini, but that's pretty much irrelevant given the fact that he is Trundle. He's not going to scale as well as this Viego pick. So the fact that he is ahead is very, very meaningless. Now, for Gemini, it's all about making sure that all these lanes get to continue playing the lane phase because they are really strong. And now, okay, here's
he steals it all away, and this is going to be the play onto Hollow and Ruby. The huge collapse, the flash through, and nowhere for Hollow to go but over the wall, and they're going to keep following through. Atlan jumping in there, and even Lee Kai getting in on the action as Machi just bring everyone to bear here as Pop desperately runs back to the safety of his tower. My goodness, Machi are not pulling punches this early game.
Machi forcing the plays. Of course, remember, this is a composition that is on a slight timer. Being able to find these non-stop skirmishes is going to benefit them a lot more. As slowly but surely, the terrain control will be problematic coming in from Boom, but what a beautiful setup as they get the stun coming in from GM, but also the stun from Gemini onto Hollow. So each stunning up their respective opponents ends up securing them one kill. Unfortunately, unable to get the second, but for the side of Boom, they get a lot of free space for this Horn to continue to scale. He gets, I believe, one tower plate up in that top side. Actually gets two. And he's
that's a consolation prize, but still.
Yeah, now has a level 7, and you should also be able to pick up the Ignite if they want to go for a very aggressive trade and try and find an all-in onto Lee Kai, but it looks like they'll turn their attention towards this blue buff instead and getting it onto Ruby, and denying it away from G-Man is actually really important.
Koala actually might end up getting caught here, but then I just remembered he's a Bard, so he has Magical Journey, that's fine. Yeah, Boom, they just go in and take away the blue buff. They don't actually find a way to contest for the Herald. And, yeah, you know, Machi, they are playing on a timer, but unlike last game, they're finding themselves actually with the lead. It does come down to what they've done with these lanes and their willingness to just dump the teleports to force the skirmish plays. I really like the tempo that they've been getting this game.
And the more important part is the fact that they have better laners to play around this timer. They're going to be able to guarantee that they get advantages through the lane phase. It's now about being able to drive those advantages home. It doesn't look like we're going to get a Rift Herald fight, though, this time around. So
it's
the side of Boom,
yeah,
they won't flip for this one this time around. And for Machi, it's going to help them accelerate this early game. I expect this Rift Herald to go down probably in this bottom lane. Just try and force a dive around this Rift Herald play, or just get Lee Kai snowballed even further ahead.
Well, if they can pull it off. Boom actually looking for a pick themselves as they wandered into Machi jungle, but not able to find much else. And you do see Gemini actually starting to run for it down bottom there, and I think that will be the play as Pop does spot him going into the hard path. And some ward investment by the Boom side, wanting to make sure that there isn't another play down
Ignite
in that side. Call the Forge God actually comes out for Rocky here as he's going to send it straight into Lee Kai. Actually flashes forward, and I think he might want that play, but no, not able to finish it off. Of course, he has a little bit of a lower cooldown, so I'm not too worried about it.
Oh, that's definitely a bit of a blunder there coming in from Rocky, missing the pillar. So a lot of the setup didn't quite land. However, does force the recall from Lee Kai. So small win there, and now Rocky does have the teleport up available. So you're looking for him to make a very, very aggressive teleport play here, going for this next dragon. That is coming up in 100 seconds.
Yeah, that might be where we see a proper skirmish.
Yeah, Lee Kai might have his own teleport up available by that time, but Koala's trying to force some pressure. Does have level 6. They can dive the tower, being able to turn off that tower with the Tempered Fates, but it doesn't look like they're super interested in. Instead, more interested in around trying to contest this next blue buff, as blue buffs are pretty important.
Gonna actually pop the Herald in the mid, and I think they might just try to force Ruby away here, but Holo is actually there. Not the hugest value off the Herald charge, but it was something, I suppose. Meanwhile, we got ourselves a little bit of a scrap down bot. That's going to be a two-man Tempered Fate. Let's see if they can set this one up right now. And turning around, there's Moonlight Vigil. Not even going to be enough as they focus their attention on a pop. Already down in this one. Ash Arrow's being pumped in, but now the Chakram's answering back. Wako 1v2. Not going to be able to find any kills, though. And nicely played by the Machi duo.
And the Braum Aphelios. Not a whole lot of answers here. Brilliant two-man stun at that moment there, coming in from Machi, and then they just follow up with that Bard ultimate. And Pop, he doesn't hold a lot of value in this 2v2. He can't really use the ultimate to good effect because of how much kiting ability is on Bard and Ash, and the fact that they essentially outrange all of his spells. And this lane phase is just proving to be a nightmare time and time again for this Aphelios Braum. It's just a matter of when these team fights happen, that's when things could definitely flip in favor of this Aphelios Braum, as that's when Braum will get his value. It's still very tough.
Be a little bit, man, the Machi collapse just enabled so well by these magical journeys here. As Dragon is procced, I don't think Boom want to contest with this. Boom have definitely been playing on the back foot a little bit in the gold deficit, and gotta be careful, dodge away from that one. Dragon seeded. So now Machi Esports will grab themselves an Ocean, and we will have an Infernal Rift coming up.
Infernal Rift actually really, really big here, because it opens up the map a lot more. Koala, though, possibly getting picked, has Magical Journey. They could chase.
He's fine. He's Bard. Nothing bad happens to Bard, ever. That's the rule.
Ruby caught in a bit of a pincer.
He's going to Bird Flash, though. Tempered Fate. Oh, boy. Wow. He just walks away from so much CC there.
He really flirted with that there, but you know, it's the highs and lows of Ruby, right? He can pull off these insane plays, but
Ruby taketh away.
He can also just die randomly to these really casual ganks. But this time around, he's able to show the fancy footwork, walk himself out, and so boom, down 3,000 gold. You're starting to see the mythics stream in from the side of Machi, as they've got that Rocket Belt, Divine Sunder, and Leandry's completed, and over on the side of Boom, it's just the two Frostfire gauntlets completed by their frontline champs. Not too bad, not too shabby, but the real power point, of course, is once Rocky hits level 13, gets the first upgrade when it comes to the ornaments, and once those free stats come in, that really helps make up a lot of the gold differential seen already, as it's 3,000, but that'll close about 1,000 for each Orn item.
Yeah, that definitely makes a pretty sizable difference. So now Machi really starting to take control and squeeze a little bit out of Boom. You could see the steal away that Gemini got on that red buff right as Holo was coming in. Always feels a little sad, man, if you're the enemy jungler dealing with something like that. But now Wako has started to come a little more online. He doesn't have a mythic completed just yet, but his wave clear is starting to be pretty good. So at the very least, tower pressure alleviated a little bit there. And is he going to actually try and stop those backs? No, he's playing with it. He was hoping to maybe force, but nothing doing. And here's the answer for the red buff. So no harm, no foul.
they go ahead, steal away that red buff, and they should be able to secure this bottom tower. Now they get a little bit of free time. They also have the Trundle here, which does a lot of damage. And Koala
You're not
saves
allowed to hit my tower!
being.
Bard is such a fun champion. He just does so many shenanigans. A great stun out there from the Ash Arrow that is going to be a completely whiffed Braum ultimate now. And they dodge out on the Aphelios ult too. My goodness. Koala and Atlan are just dodging everything. Here comes Hollow looking for a dive, but they've actually managed to get the stun off. And even with the teleport, I think they're getting away with this. Call of the Forge God is going to be coming through. Really knock off Atlan. Very heavy force here from the side of Boom, and they will be able to get that kill, but that was a heavy investment of all 5 members, and it's going to result in going to result in a huge Shelly push here down mid.
It's going to be mid lane tower destroyed, and also mid tier 2 more than likely destroyed, and then also that top tier 1 should go down. So it's essentially 3 towers for 1. And
1 kill. Not worth.
They get a bonus 1 kill in this bottom side. And it's not exactly the most worthwhile play here, especially if Wako dies to Bard. And
I respect that. I respect that, Koala. Well done.
Hollow has to just walk away, watch his bot laner die because of the fact that there was a collapse coming in from Gmian and Gemini. If he ends up trying to bail out Wako, it could have just been both of them dying there. And with Dragon coming up in a minute, you do want to make sure your jungler is alive to try and fight for vision. But even then, I don't think they're going to be able to contest this next Dragon, as you get to see the replay. So much used to try and secure this kill onto the Ashe. It's essentially, hey, you know, I've hated this lane from day number 1. Someone killed this Ashe. That was basically Wako. That was Wako in the comps.
Yeah, he really, really wanted it. But unfortunately, he stays a little bit too long after the fact and pays the price for it. So Machi pretty firmly ahead in this game, but now we are going to get a big of a fight down mid lane. Call the Forge God is flash time. Fate lands onto Ruby and Hollow. Here's the turnaround, and they will just collapse on top. Gemini picking up 1. Hollow's going to fall down to Likai. What a brilliant turnabout for Machi.
And it's a beautiful setup coming in from Machi Esports, as it's right before the Dragon. They get themselves the blue buff, they get themselves the first Inferno Dragon, and while this composition has been put on a bit of a timer because of the Inferno Rifts, granting them a lot more space to work around these terrain controlling abilities, they just also have such a better skirmish composition. And look at the turn. If they commit too much for these picks, then well, the turn is just so easy from Machi, especially with this Bard pick. They can chase relentlessly as well with that magical journey, and Rocky is probably looking for the pick onto Gmian.
Jimmy is getting chased down though, and
for Ruby,
I think they'll be able to find that. Not a whole lot they can do there to turn it around. Ruby will get it, but you know, you were absolutely right, Nightstar, when you talked about how important Koala was going to be this game on the Bard. He has come up huge for his team, setting up the engagements. Likai's done a good job on the teleport flanks, and you know, this is what Machi does at their best. It's just finding those collapsing plays and really just getting more value out of their trades. Boom. They're kind of flailing around, right? You know, they do manage to get that kill on Jimmy, and great job, but it's a heavy investment, and look what they lose for it. There's just so much more inside pressure on this inner tower, and yeah, sure, they'll get the one down bottom, but even still, there's not a huge reaction following up.
At the very least, it's still the side of Boom able to at least force a cross-map trade, and that's going to keep the gold relatively okay. It's still 4K gold, but you're starting to see the ornaments come through. So really, it's about, I mean, with the extra stats that they're getting from Dragon, maybe it's about 500 gold shaved off this lead, but soon Boom will start getting more Ornn items, and that's when things will start changing as far as the calculus goes. But Waka, look at his items. He's got a Gale Force, which is not ideal when it comes to Aphelios items. You want the extra moves. You either want the extra attack speed bonus from the Kraken Slayer, or you want to be able to have the extra survivability coming in from the Shield Bow and Sustain.
Right.
But this time, he wants the extra mobility, given the fact that he has to run away from Kennen and now Gemian or Gemini. Coming in for a collapse. Oh,
another two-man Tempered Fate. Once again, Koala's been absolutely on point. The flash out from Holo will deny that, but oh boy, you can tell how scared Boom are playing at the moment.
Yep.
And this... Are they really? No, they're not going to start the Baron. I thought for just a second they might have turned towards it, but that would be a little dangerous.
Looking at the Baron, but their damage against Baron is kind of low. They need
to get a pickup.
The best Baron damage here coming in from Machi. And if they do start it out, it's really all about trying to set up the fights. However, they're really, really good at collapsing onto Boom if they are the ones to start it out. So while Boom does have more damage to take down a Baron, if they're ever exposed, the Kennen just absolutely runs them over.
Here's a big brush bait, though. At least Boom were trying for it, but the game is sort of up at the moment. You do see Lee Kai around the outside just hoping for a cut-in and slicing Maelstrom. It's not going to happen, though. Boom, they are playing with a good amount of respect, because keep in mind, they do scale, but Lee Kai, he steps a little bit too far forward, forced to flash away. Meanwhile, though, it's going to be Rocky that gets caught and deleted. Atlan pumped him full of arrows in that one, and now that's going to prompt Gemini to go for the reset. Immediately, portal out. Boom do not want to take it.
Yeah, really good portal coming out from Ruby to disengage the situation, but Rocky being picked off there kind of sucks. However, I think he still has
one way to put it.
Teleport available.
Ooh,
okay.
Actually, look at this. They've caught Atlan completely snoozing. He might be tanking for a moment, but wow. Big unforced error kind of equalizes for Boom now.
Yeah, and it's very easy for both of these compositions to punish for the side of Boom. They have such, again, great terrain control. And against the mobile carries, it's difficult for them to navigate this terrain. And Koala on this Bard, he's going to be part of the reason if they're able to get out of these pick scenarios, because he can use the magical journey to get around, get through the pillar, per se.
Right. Terrain means absolutely nothing to a Bard.
Yeah, exactly.
He laughs at your terrain. But this is going to be the Infernal Dragon setup right now, and I think Machi do have enough shred to take this very quickly. And it's incredibly quick. Though. This is a 23-minute Infernal Soul. Boom are not reacting to this.
Yeah, they're thinking about Baron. But, again, Machi doesn't do Baron very quickly, so just a poor read coming in, and now they're collapsing onto Rocky. Do they have enough
Rocky. Damage? He's got Flash, but the follow-through for Gemini, looking for the kill on the Heartbreaker. Didn't quite find it. Does get the smite down, and there we go. And going to go ahead and steal the Forge God abilities for just a little while. And this is just the Machi roll. I'm going to try for it here. They don't have Tempered Fate. No, they did have Tempered Fate to work with. Koala doesn't spend it. But now the siege is on, Nightstar, and I think we've seen this one before from Machi.
And for the side of Boom, they don't have a lot of wave clear except onto Ruby, but now he's getting collapsed upon.
Okay, Banshee's pop, and flashes away from the Tempered Fate. A great two-man stun on the Scout of the Week from Jimmy in here, and Gemini is able to clean up the kills, have his pick of who he wants to take over, and all the time, Lee Kai finishing off mid-turret. And we had a 25-minute game last time around. Machi, they're looking not too shabby in Game 3.
It's just blow for blow, and these teams looking very clean once they get the advantage, which is really nice to see. But now they're going to turn their attention over to this Baron buff, and while this is a composition that doesn't do Baron very quickly, with the extra Infernal Soul damage, that shores up that area. And
yeah, that and Holo being dead can't outsmite it.
Exactly. And now they will be able to obtain
that is so good.
Baron, and Koala has been outstanding.
Yeah, well, this Scout of the Week sets it up. Koala manages to get the Cosmic Binding out, and then, yeah, Gemini just says, okay, those are mine, cleans up kills, and all of a sudden you've got a fed Viego.
And this Viego pick, 405. Looking to build towards that Wit's End, has the stopwatch for the next fight as well. Finds Sunder later in.
Don't even know if he's going to need it. Yeah. I mean, Machi definitely in the lead at this point. Big time.
And you can see there's just pretty big item differential. What Ruby trying to force a pick here.
Yeah, he gets popped immediately. Do they have enough?
They don't have the damage.
That's a 2-man Scout of the Week back, and Pop just trying to tank it up. And meanwhile, look at the base. They're just going to end this.
Yeah, Lee Kai's on his way to try and stop the ports coming in from those two frontline champs. They're not going to be able to get here in time. So Machi, they can just go ahead and whenever they want. They even bring in the teleport. This is just game.
Yeah, absolutely. Boom just did not have a chance at this point as they tried to overforce time and time again, but it was not enough, and Machi, looking a lot like their Game 1 selves, will take this one in 26-15.
And unlike game number 1, this was a game played through Atlan in Koala. They were able to get a great 2v2 lane, and Koala absolutely tooled Boom Esports as he goes around the map, going and doing bard things. Everywhere he went was a magical journey, and he found the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah, he did. Koala was absolutely my MVP for this game. Set up so many plays, also some excellent aggression down bottom. He was pretty much everywhere, and Bard is one of those champions that sometimes you don't expect him to come out, and when you're playing a very defensive choice down bottom like a Braum who just has no answer, we talked about Atlan and Koala being exploitable, but Wako and Pop were the ones that got exploited this time around, and really big kudos to Machi for adapting their playstyle, definitely focusing on playing through the bottom, even if they weren't going after dive after dive. It did start with one of those, and I think this was critically a very clean Machi game because of how well they were able to snowball and play on the game timer as opposed to last time around when they just never had a moment to hit the gas pedal.
Yeah, and the key to success was the fact that they were able to draft very strong lanes this time around. They didn't go for the Camille pick because it did get banned away. Right. They had a very, very powerful bot lane, and that early dive really just showed a sign of things to come. The Braum just does not give you value, in the Philios pick in this situation that early on when Machi gets an opportunity to readjust their composition and just play with infinite range. The Philios could never, ever contribute. It was really just about the terrain control that could try and salvage this situation. And even then, they were never put in a 5v5 opportunity to be able to try and get that 5v5 fight.
Yeah, and we could see just objective after objective falling to Machi. It was like, Boom, we're just a little slow on the uptick, and it just seemed like they never had the opportunity to try and force it. Even when they did actually find the skirmishes, there were a lot of missed ultimates. There were a lot of kind of big whiffs there. You could see the Glacial Fissure and the Moonlight Vigil just completely split the uprights in the 2v2 fight down bottom. And, Boom, again, it feels like the pendulum swings a little bit. Nightstar one game, we've got Machi looking clean. The next game, we've got Boom looking clean, which was huge for them. And then this time around, I am starting to feel like the Aphelios without Thresh is a bit of a trap. Definitely not looking so good in those last two games.
The Aphelios in general is just a trap. Guys, just don't lock it in this early. It's a great second phase pick because you see more of the composition coming in from the rest, from your opponents. But when you early pick it, there's just so many answers, and especially when you leave yourself exposed by locking in Philios Braum and then allow yourself to get counterpicked by that Bard. Perhaps if the Bard was banned away, it might have given them an opportunity to actually play the game, but you saw how that lane went. It was an absolute dumpster fire.
Yeah, unfortunate. That's just one way to put it, man. But looking good for Machi in this one as they do move ahead to match point. If they can take it out in 4, it would look really great for them to set up for a match up against the side of J-Team. But boom, you know, we've seen so far that when they get the composition that works for them, they can play it to their edge. I certainly think this is a team that we've seen it multiple times, rises and falls with what Ruby is able to do. I'm curious to see if they'll make another swap of the jungle. I don't really think there's been a huge difference. Holo may be a little bit more coordinated with the team, but it is kind of hard to say in the moment. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure there because for Boom, they're such an individual skill-based team, but when none of them were really able to nail a lot of those ultimates and none of them were able to get into those 5v5 scenarios that, you know, inexplicably they seem to do well in a number of times, just really wasn't quite enough. And Machi was able to pick them apart.
Machi did incredibly well in this game number 3. I hope that we get to see more bot lane focused strategies coming in from them, whether it's the rest of this series or in their upcoming series if they do finish the job in game number 4 or 5. But so we get to see the post-game stats, a lot of damage coming out from G-Mian here, but the star of the show was this Bard pick, and he out-damaged the rest of Boom. Not too shabby.
Oh boy. That is, that's kind of the much more important than the goal difference over time. That's sort of the tale of the game. Huge edge there. You know, all the dragons in the game. Such a fast soul take at about 22 minutes for Machi, and this is a team that has been trying to speedrun. This whole series has been a bit of a speedrun. In all honesty, like we're 3 games in, and it's just like I did not expect at the start of the day that Boom esports match would be the one that had the fastest games so far in the playoffs, or just about the fastest games. And Koala is absolutely the MVP. He was here, he was there, he was everywhere, and he certainly sealed Boom esports' tempered fate.
18% damage. You know, that's not too bad coming in from a support, you know? Not too shabby.
Yeah, it was chime time on the Rift. Well done.
It was an absolute clinic from Koala. Being able to land those bindings, being able to land tempered fates. His roams were just that much better against a Braum who just doesn't have the capacity to roam. And going into game number 4, it could just be just side selection matters, as I would expect Boom to go back towards the blue side. So
far, 100% win rate.
Yeah, I mean, so far. It's just been an absolute clinic from blue side, actually. It hasn't even been close. So perhaps that's the real advantage here.
Is blue side the key to victory? Well, we are going to find out possibly, as we will be taking a break before we go and start up game number 4. Don't go anywhere.